My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. This is the only channel dedicated to UFC fight picks and DraftKings lineups run by MMA insiders and professional fighters. Every week, I join Dan Cramer and Nick Newell, two longtime professional fighters that have fought at the highest levels on the planet, as well as Jacob Lyons, a skinny kid from Indiana. So join us every single week for our full fight card breakdowns, our individual fight card breakdowns, our betting guide, and our DraftKings lineups. Next up at UFC 261, we have Rodrigo Vargas versus Zhu Rong. And this is the final of the three Chinese Performance Institute fights that we have. And this is the biggest favorite of them and one of the biggest favorites on the entire card. And it's tricky. It's very, very tricky. And it's hard to nail down exactly what will happen, but we do have an assessment. We have a direction we think it will go. And personally, I think that it's amazing that Zhu Rong has, how many fights does he have?
He's got
19 fights,
19
and
fights.
he's 21 years old. 19 fights, he's 21 years old. So he's basically a seasoned veteran. But that tells me there's no way those 19 fights could be top level competition for that long at that young of an age. There's no way at 15 years old, you're fighting grown men at top
Only
level
one
competition.
decision too. Only one decision. He's finished 15 people.
It's crazy. It's a scary, scary record, and he's crazy young. And this could, he could end up being.
He did fight some tough guys too, by the way.
He could end up being the greatest fighter in the history of fighters. It could be. Like, that's the path that this dude's on. It's just so hard to pick that. So anyway, but my assessment is, Rodrigo Vargas, this is set up for Zhu to win. It's set up for him to win. Rodrigo Vargas is a wild striker, doesn't have much control. He's coming off of a wild illegal knockout. And, I think the expectation here is he's going to come out. Rodrigo's going to come out guns blazing. Zhu will do what he needs to do. Bob weave, knock him out, put him away. And really, the Chinese Performance Institute people are here. They've made a statement, and that market is wide open now. I think that's what's supposed to happen. That may happen, but I have Rodrigo Vargas in my lineup. I put him in my lineup. I'll talk about it in detail in the breakdown. $7,100 allowed me to afford a lot of these other people. He is going to come out wild. He is a grown man fighting basically a teenager. And I just don't know how much of this record.
You're assuming they're telling the truth about his age. So Zhu Rong, to your point, Angelo, he's got a ton of experience at a young age. This is his UFC debut, so that is always a different experience for anybody. 10-fight win streak, but it seems like all these guys and girls from the Chinese Performance Institute, every fight they had was in the WLF. So, some of them I could find, some I couldn't. But this, I did find some good footage on Zhu Rong. So he looks like he's a very good measured striker. He moves around a bunch. He uses his footwork really well. He's got a powerful right hand. A lot of these guys that I'm seeing are very, very good strikers, good technical strikers, very similar with their styles and striking. But I wanted to see some takedown defense because I'm like, all right, Vargas, we know how he fights. He comes out throwing bombs, shoots takedowns, throws bombs. I was like, can he defend takedowns? And I found a fight from him in 2019. So that point, he was 18, 19 years old, against Marco Andrade. And his takedown defense looked really, really good. So I'd imagine it's gotten better since then. He's gone 5 rounds a couple times already. So he's got a wealth of real experience. I would say more so than the two fighters we were mentioning previously, where their experience was kind of against lower level competition or people with losing records. I think this guy's legit. I think he's got legit experience. I think he's going to win this fight. I think Vargas, he's also tough, but he's 0-2 in the UFC, the DQ against Brock Weaver. He was winning that fight before that happened, but I think it's first round or bust for him. He comes out aggressive. He's live for, obviously something wild in the first round, but I think after that, I think Zhu Rong is going to take over this fight, pick him apart, use his footwork, and either piece him up and win a decision, or stop him in the second or third round. I was very impressed with what I saw from Zhu Rong, and I think he's going to win this fight. I don't have him in my lineup right now because he's $9,100. And I went with some other more, expensive fighters instead. But man, if something changes and somebody drops, I could very well put him in my lineup. I also held back a little bit too, just because Vargas is live in that first round. But yeah, I think Zhu Rong is going to win this fight.
He's definitely the more technical striker, definitely has more power, but I think the age, and it's funny to say inexperience because his record's insane, but at the end of the day, like, he is only 20. So, it's just, it just scares me, right? I would be too scared to put $9,100 on that.
So the other thing too, I see Vargas getting tired in the later rounds. If he doesn't get those takedowns and he doesn't finish it early with a big shot, I see him getting tired. And Zhu Rong, like I said, went 5 rounds multiple times. I think that could be a big factor too.
Well, and that's why this significant strike line is what it is, right? It's easy to look at it and immediately be like, oh, I'll do the over. But the over would assume it goes the distance. The odds makers and the line setter here is basically saying Zhu Rong is going to stop Rodrigo Vargas. So there's not going to be 3 rounds to accrue strikes. This is going to end somewhere late in the first or early in the second. So that's why these strike lines do get tricky to pick. But Jacob, I'll go to you. What are your thoughts here? And how do you see this one going?
Yeah, I'm glad Dan mentioned the takedown defense, because that was the first thing I was looking for as well. Because Rodrigo Vargas is one of those wrestlers that is good enough that if you don't know how to wrestle, he can look like a great wrestler. But if you kind of know, then he's not going to be good enough to get the takedowns. I watched one of his fights where he's definitely relentless with the takedowns, and Dan alluded to the cardio issues. I think if he doesn't get the takedowns, he's going to be in some trouble. And I saw Zhu's takedown defense as the exact same that Dan did. I think it's good takedown defense, and even when he was taken down, he's immediately back to his feet. So I think that's important because he is a very good striker. I love the way he's bouncing in and out. He's got a great chin, and this is another one where it's a great chin so far, because he will eat a shot to give a shot. Rodrigo early first round, that could be trouble if he's, running in the, UFC debut, running in, trying to be aggressive. So we'll see what happens. I think that Zhu definitely should win the fight. But Angelo, I think you kind of nailed it there. I just, there's still the young kid, $9,100, he does take shots. So I stayed away from him in DraftKings, but I think he should win the fight.
And we've seen people get burned with these picks in the past. It's almost a trap. This much money, this young, this good. So we'll see what happens. I mean, he should win. Everything says he should win. I think he should win. I just went with the underdog here because so affordable, and there are so many questions here that I'd rather err on the side of, the underdog with all of those questions, because none of the questions are about him. All the questions are about the favorite. So I went with the underdog in DraftKings. I am taking the favorite for my pick. Before you go, check out the description below. In there, we have links to our Facebook, our Twitter, our Instagram, and more importantly, to our DraftKings League. Check out the league, join the league, participate in the contests, and as we get going and as you start winning, we're going to start handing out gift cards and participating and doing things like that. So check those out. Every week, there are drops on every fight card. So make sure you check out this channel and our social media on Saturday before the fights start so that you have our most updated lineups and picks.